This is the true story of an ordinary journey
I think we took a wrong turn back there.
that becomes a descent into hell.
Jim, stop! Oh, God.
A family is lost in the wilderness for 9 days, in sub-zero temperatures with no food. Nobody knows where to look for them. A young father faces an agonizing choice: to stay with his family and face certain death, or walk into the unknown to seek help.
How the hell are we gonna get out of this?
Okay, tiny bird. So, gonna go on a big, long trip. Can you grab that?
Hello?
21-year-old Army Private Jim Stolper is planning to drive to his grandmother's funeral in Idaho with his 20-year-old wife Jennifer and their baby Clayton.
Yeah, I miss her too. I was quite driven to get to this funeral. I was a very family-oriented person, and the loss of any member of the family was hard on me.
Well, Kevin and me were thinking maybe you should just stay put for now. Well, it's nearly 1,000 miles, and the weather's going to get bad again.
Jim's mother and stepfather are already in Idaho and growing concerned about the weather.
Don't worry, Mom.
I was getting a little nervous because it was snowy, blizzardy, and I really did not want him traveling because it was bad all across the area.
Yes, of course, you're a great driver.
Jim's mom told us not to come.
No.
She's like, don't risk the weather, just stay there. She didn't want us to go for reasons that we didn't think were good enough to stay back, so we decided, nah, we're leaving anyways.
Poor Clay. He's gonna be stuck in this thing forever. What is it, like a 13-hour drive?
He'll sleep right through. Isn't that right, little boy? Are we good?
Severe blizzards are causing extensive road closures again today in California and Nevada.
Jim and Jennifer set off. They haven't made the 800-mile journey before, but reckon it'll take at least 12 hours. They head northeast from the San Francisco Bay towards Pocatello, Idaho. What they haven't bargained for are blizzards, which have already closed the main interstate highway, their most direct route.
They were telling us the roads would be closed until the next morning, and we certainly didn't want to wait a whole nother day. So we thought we'd try to get a map and maybe see if there was an alternate route. We're just pretty determined by then, you know, this is, like, we're gonna do it.
Thanks, sir. Have a good day now. And you?
Great.
Okay, so blizzard's right here. The I-80's closed.
Okay, let's go north and cut across east, which takes us onto the I-140 right here.
All the way to Pocatello.
We just thought, okay, here's where the roads are closed. This is the main part of the storm.
Here we go.
Let's take this road that goes way up and around it to try to just go. That's what we thought we were doing, was going around the storm. Little do we know it had already been through there and dumped a lot of snow on the ground.
We could see dark skies coming from the west. It was getting to be late, and there wasn't much traffic. At one point, the roads got a little snowy, and we were a little concerned, so we stopped at a service station, and this is where we had chains installed. We had planned to call and let my mother and stepfather and family know that we had taken this alternate route. We didn't have a cell phone, so we looked for a payphone.
Damn it. It's eating all my quarters.
We knew that my mother would be worried about us. So we were disappointed we couldn't call. but we were also relieved that we weren't adding to her grief at the moment.
After a while, there wasn't any snow anymore. The road was pretty clean and bare. But when you have chains on your car, you can't make up any time there. You just have to go so slow.
I got out and I looked up and down the road and I didn't see snow on the road. I actually got down and felt it and it was dry. So we opted to take the chains off so we could make better time. You know, we were young, confident. We didn't know any better. We weren't experienced enough to know that things can get really bad really fast.
There was snow back on the road by this time. It was like getting pretty bad.
But we didn't want to slow down and stop, and you know, at this point we're just figuring, okay, well, I can still see the road ahead of us, let's just keep going. This is a very minor road. We shouldn't have been on the road in the first place, but the sign that declared the road closed was buried in snow. The road was covered with just unbroken snow, and we were making the tracks now.
Where the hell are we? This map makes no sense. This is weird. It's totally deserted. Wait, you know what? I think we took a wrong turn back there. Jim! Jim, stop! Jim, we're in about 2 feet of snow! Jim, stop! You're making it worse! Jim, stop! Jim, stop! Stop! It's okay.
Right there was when fear hit me, like, oh, God, wow, that's a lot of snow. That's pretty deep.
It took a while to really figure out what really had just happened.
I can't believe this.
What is this stupid road anyway?
We were a little concerned, but people get stuck in the snow all the time, and it's not that much of an issue because there are other people around to help.
Oh, we are going nowhere tonight.
So we decided to just wait it out and hope for somebody to come along and help us.
Look, honey, we still got plenty of time to get to Idaho. If we don't freeze to death first.
It's not the end of the world. We'll flag somebody down tomorrow and go get us a tow truck or something.
Jim, Jennifer, and Clay spend an uneasy night in the truck. They have no idea they've driven off the Nevada backroads into the middle of a 5,000-acre wilderness.
Oh, God.
Holy shit. What is this place? There's nothing.
What have we done?
When we saw how desolate the area was, it occurred to us that that road probably wasn't very well used. And I guess there's a little bit of anger at first.
Gravel!
Because it looked main enough to us at the time.
This isn't even a paved road. How could we be so stupid?
We didn't know really where we were.
Look.
But the last town we had passed through was well over 50 miles.
The only place we can be is here. We must have left the 299 right about here.
Let me look. Wildlife refuge. God, it's huge. How are we gonna get out of here? We'll never get those too tight, crappy chains back on without tools.
To make us feel like we were doing something to help the situation, we decided to try to dig the truck out. So pretty much all day long, that's what we did.
The wind was blowing. The snow was really dry, so as fast as we could shovel it out with our hands and cups, the wind was blowing it right back in our way.
There was so much snow underneath the truck, in front of it, behind it. We really couldn't get it moved at all. This wasn't the answer. This isn't how we're going to get out of this. But we were still kind of hopeful that somebody would notice this truck in this location or drive by, or if a plane flew overhead or something. We decided to stay with the truck. We spent time getting cozy, using clothing and towels and whatever we could find to plug up any areas where cool air was getting in. Every now and then we would turn the truck on and get the heat going and listen on the radio for any news of a search for us, but we never heard anything.
F for fries.
Fries. Oh. No.
Just decided to kill the time by playing Hangman and 20 Questions.
M.
No.
Oh, man.
The food issue was always right there.
C for chocolate.
Oh, God, chocolate.
Hunger wasn't quite as bad as being as thirsty as we were.
Okay.
Surviving on very dry snow.
D.
A D. No, you are dead.
Man.
Ow.
My stepson has no reason to go AWOL. He was granted leave, and he has to be at a funeral.
We were getting very concerned. We then started calling the highway patrols, and they said it's a New Year's weekend, and they had more important things that they were concerned about at that time with the road conditions the way they were than looking for a possible missing person.
Okay, but how long does it take before someone is listed as a missing person?
We were really worried, but they just couldn't help us in any way.
Yeah, I'd like to thank you for your help, except you haven't been any.
Kevin really wanted to leave, but we still had the funeral to go to.
Clayton was breastfeeding still, and we were just introducing solids into his diet. The little bits of baby food that we had left, we tried to ration to him in conjunction with breastfeeding as best we could.
You want some fruitcake? You should eat, you know.
We should have brought some real food.
We had crumbs of this bag of chips and a fruitcake, which Jennifer didn't eat. She didn't like it and didn't want it. So I ate that, and that was all we had as far as food goes.
We left my sister's house, left a note on the door for Jim and Jennifer just in case they would show up, to give them directions on where the church was and hoping that they would make it there. And we had to go to the funeral. Kevin and I had already packed our things the night before because Kevin needed to get back to the Bay Area.
I'm so sorry to rush off, Jean, but we have to get home tonight. Kevin's gonna get some of his TV buddies to help us find them.
Hey, everything's under control here.
So we headed back to California. Kevin had contacts there because of his background in cable television, and he knew if we didn't get the media involved, it would be just another missing person that no one ever knew about again.
We should see sunny spells all across western Nevada.
We knew that it's been days now and nobody's come, and we knew we were going to have to do something. And we had heard on the radio that the weather was supposed to clear up and get better on Saturday.
Listen, I've been thinking.
Nobody's coming, are they?
We can't just sit here and starve. And if the weather's gonna break, then we could walk. We could make it to the highway.
How far do you think, Jim?
Well, there can't be anything for 50 miles back the way we came. But if we go this way to the I-140, it's, I don't know, 20 miles?
How long will it take?
If we leave early tomorrow, we could be there by nightfall. If the weather guys are right.
Okay. At least we'll be together, right?
That's all that matters. We should maybe write something. Just a note to whoever might... You know, just in case.
We wrote a will that was for our family, you know, as a last kind of goodbye.
Mostly just apologies, really, like just really sorry that we put our parents through that, and that if this is how it turned out, you know, just to know that we're happy that we were together, and you know, we loved each other, and if that was what was going to happen, at least we were all together for it.
If you are reading this, then we must be dead. Don't be sad. We tried our best to make it, but God must have wanted or needed us sooner than we thought. Our biggest regret is that we've lost time together. We honestly can't give a justifiable reason as to our whereabouts when this occurred. We were just determined to make it all the way to Idaho so you would quit worrying about us. Please cremate my body and bury Jim in the Forest Hills Cemetery by his grandfather.
And Clay?
Things started happening quickly once we got home.
Sandy, be sure and get on the deck at NBC.
Kevin got some action going. Our house then became command central. It just became a zoo. All the news channels were there on a daily basis.
And I think if we can get those press releases out to the local papers, I think that'd be a good start.
All right.
It was just a very busy kind of time for everyone, trying to generate enough interest in these three people.
Try not to worry.
Kevin got a truck from a friend to go search himself through Nevada and California. He would have gone nuts sitting there, not being able to do anything.
We needed to go. Nobody's coming. We're alone. We're gonna have to do something to get Clayton and ourselves out of there.
We knew our shoes weren't waterproof, so we each put on some pantyhose, a couple of layers of socks, and we took the plastic from the dry cleaner bags our clothes were in to hopefully keep out the moisture.
Okay, little boys.
We had dress clothes to attend a funeral, tennis shoes, and comfortable clothes. We were not prepared at all for these conditions. Clayton had a little sleeping bag of his own that we nestled him in. And then used the adult sleeping bag kind of as a cushion and put him inside this garment bag to keep him sealed up from the cold and the wind.
Okay, little boy.
Honey, it's gonna get a little cold. Mommy and Daddy are right here, so if you need anything, you just say, okay? Good boy.
I was a little worried that he might freak out being in the dark and everything, but that kid was, I don't know, it's like he just knew. He just really knew what was happening. He was just really calm and okay with it.
Okay?
Yeah.
So from then on, I was a horse and Clay was the carriage.
Dragging a 4-month-old baby 20 miles through the snow in search of a highway is a huge gamble. But it's Jim and Jennifer's only hope.
I would say on average, we were pretty much shin deep in snow. And within a couple of hours, our feet were numb already. We were getting very thirsty, so eating snow was a full-time thing. Our mouths were tired and cold because we would be chewing on a mouthful of snow, trying to suck it and melt it and drink the water from it. And almost as soon as your mouth was empty, you're already reaching for the ground for more.
We never really had to stop because of Clayton. Mostly Jim would have to stop for me. My hips were really sore. It was hard walking in the snow.
Hey, hey.
Okay, little man.
I wanted to get to help, but I also had to keep in mind that Jennifer was lagging behind and was weakening by the hour. So I had that on my mind, and dragging Clayton behind me was tiring me out.
Finally, we saw there was a big hill, and that was a long, long walk to get up there.
Just give us a second.
We were both just exhausted.
I was just over the hill now. Okay.
We were so sure this highway we were looking for must be just beyond. At the very least, from the top of this hill, we'd be able to see it.
The map says that the road was over here, so it was sort of a boost for us to keep going because we just knew we were getting close. It's just taking us really long to get there. The road that we were looking for was not here. We were heading in the wrong direction or something, because there's just nothing.
It's okay. It's all right. Honey, listen to me. Look at me, listen. We know there's a town back the way we came. We just follow our tracks back, okay? I'll follow the tracks, okay? Shh, it's all right. It's all right.
After my total freak out, we just pretty much realized that's what we're gonna have to do now. We were just gonna have to turn around and go back, miles and miles to the truck.
I can't.
Come on. I got you.
Ow.
All right.
And it was then that we noticed Clay wasn't crying.
Oh, God.
That was scary because every time we stopped, he would cry. And so when he didn't, we were both just so afraid, just freaking out, going, oh my God, why isn't he moving? And or making any noise. Neither one of us wanted to unzip it to see. And we just sort of just kept looking at each other going, oh God. And he was fine. He was still pink and okay, but that was really, really scary. If Clayton wasn't with us at that point, I just would have stayed there. I just would have laid next to him and not even cared anymore. After that, just having that fear that that could have happened really made us determined, so we packed up and turned around and started walking back.
The family has come within 12 miles of the highway. The nearest town back beyond the truck is 60 miles away.
Hi, it's me. Anything to report? No. Look, I just need you to map a new sighting for me. I'm in a little town called Whiting, Nevada, and I've got a storekeeper here who thinks he might have sold some maps to a guy who matches Jim's description.
Okay.
By this time, we were getting information from people who thought they had seen them.
He thinks they might have headed to Reno.
They had seen them south, they had seen them north, they had seen them along the highway with some strange person. And that horrible thought of maybe them being abducted came to mind because one of the callers had kind of suggested that maybe they had run into some bad situation
Television executive Kevin Mulligan is following a trail of clues that he hopes...
By that time, the Highway Patrol, the police, everyone had realized that these kids had not just run away. They were really, truly missing, and we may never see them again.
Late that evening, we made it back to this big outcropping of rocks. Oh, it was so windy that it was blowing me over. It was just awful. We decided to try to find a little cove or just something to get out of the wind to protect ourselves.
We just used a sleeping bag and just threw it over the top of our bodies. Our feet were mostly exposed, but got as warm as we could and kind of slept for the night.
Jim? Can you hold Clay?
Sure. There you go. Hey, little man. Okay.
When I stood up,
What's the matter with me?
All right.
it was like my hips were they were just done. I could not walk. The pain was just excruciating. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to go very far for that day.
You okay sitting there for a few minutes? You go and find someplace you can rest. There you go. Okay.
I knew I needed to walk, and I wanted to, but my body just wasn't gonna let me do it. So we looked around and found a little cave in the rocks. And I thought maybe we could all get warm and rest again.
Are you okay in there?
Sure.
I was thinking, here we are in the middle of nowhere, now farther from the truck, no food. How the hell are we gonna get out of this?
Come and see for yourself.
Honey, I can't. I need you going alone. You and Clay can stay in here out of the cold.
We said we'd stay together no matter what.
I need help, Jen. I have to keep going.
Please. Please don't leave me alone. What if you don't come back?
I told her of the plan for me to continue on, and she broke down crying, knowing that we were going to be separated now. I think deep down we both knew that it was the only thing we could really do.
I didn't want him to do that. But I understood where he was coming from, but I didn't want him to go. I thought that separating would probably be the worst thing.
Please, Jim, please.
I'll be back. Promise.
We kissed each other and told each other we loved each other, you know, just tons, and promised me that he would be back in 3 days.
I said goodbye to my wife and baby, which could have been the last time I had seen them alive, and went down the hill and marked the spot with a colorful sweatshirt, and don't think I looked back. I just turned into a machine and walked.
It was Very, very frightening to watch him walk away. Very. I don't know, just didn't know if I was ever gonna see him again or if I was just gonna die here in the cave with my son or what, you know?
This was a seemingly never-ending task. Just walking and walking. Every now and then I would sing Army cadence to myself, kind of to keep my pace going. But for the most part, I was stoic and single-minded, and, you know, I just couldn't stop. I just kept going and going. Periodically, if I found an area that I could get out of the wind, I would huddle down and maybe let my eyes close a few times and just try to relax a little bit. But I really didn't want to let myself sleep, just for fear that I wouldn't wake up.
I did the best I could with keeping Clay hydrated. I just, you know, breastfed him as much as possible. But I really didn't think that I was producing much milk for him. So then that's when I started melting the snow and sort of, you know, spitting it into his mouth. He drank it too. I mean, he wanted the water in him, so like a little baby bird.
I got back to the truck that night, thankful that I was going to be out of the wind, and hoping that I could start the truck and feel the warmth for the first time in a few days. But since the truck had sat untouched as long as it did, it wouldn't come to life anymore. And I just laid on the front seat and went to sleep. I woke very early, just started going again. Not too far down the road, I came across a sign. So I knew that I must be getting close to something. When I saw that it said 51 miles to the nearest town, that seemed almost impossible. I was thinking, you know, with no food, barely any water, no real rest, how am I going to walk that far? That extreme isolation was the hardest thing to deal with. Kind of like being adrift at sea and nobody knows you're out there. You could scream as loud as you wanted and a bird might hear you. There was one point I could have swore that I heard Jennifer's voice not 10 feet behind me.
Keep going. Come on, Jim. Jim!
It scared me because I thought, did she die? Is this her telling me to continue going because Clayton's still alive out there alone now? Or I just didn't know what to think.
When the sun was shining, the snow would melt down and there'd be little puddles of water in the little nooks and crannies of the rocks. And I thought that maybe if I took a cloth belt, I could like suck on that to get water, anything just to get fluids in me. My feet really, really started hurting really bad. And my shoes were just frozen. I mean, they were solid. And I thought that it might be good to take them off, you know, to let my feet warm up. When I saw them, my feet were black and blue and really swollen, and I had never seen frostbite before, so I didn't really know that that's what it looked like. They started hurting really bad as they were thawing. I actually put them back in the snow to numb them back up again. I just wanted to make the pain go away, you know.
I knew that I must be getting close to something when the road was somewhat plowed. So that lightened my spirit a little bit. Then I could have swore that I saw a pickup truck. No, it can't be. Who would live out here? For an instant, I thought maybe I was hallucinating, but I didn't have time to second-guess myself.
Help! 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 Listen, my wife and baby are out there.
I blurted out everything that had just happened, and this grizzled-looking, middle-of-nowhere living man, Dave Peterson, looked at me like I was just crazy.
Hey, tiny bird. We're gonna fly away real soon.
I would fall asleep and then wake up and check on Clay. That was hard. It was hard looking at his little face. He never cried once. It was almost like, I know, Mom, it's okay. But I didn't think it was okay at all because he wasn't really making any, he wasn't crying, he wasn't, it looked like he was slowly dying, is what it seemed like, because he just wasn't doing anything, just laying there.
Dave drove me back to his house. They don't even have a phone there. So we radioed his coworker, Dusty.
This is Dave P. Dusty, are you there? Over. Come in, Dusty. Come in, Dusty. Over.
Dusty said that he would be on his way over to help.
Cave's over to the right by the ridge. Blue sweatshirt's on the tree.
Dave and Dusty were the perfect people to go there and find Jennifer and Clayton because they know this area better than anyone. For me now, it was just a waiting game.
We got a call, and the first indication that something was going on was Kevin's assistant held up her hand to quiet everyone.
Hello? What? They found Jimmy.
And of course, everyone in our house just started jumping up and down, yelling and screaming.
Oh.
But then we heard
I see.
Jennifer and the baby were not with him.
I had been sleeping. I woke up and I thought I had heard engine sounds. I didn't really know if I was still dreaming or if I was really hearing something. I sat there for a minute listening and I thought, okay, yeah, I think I really am hearing something here. And that was when I saw the big bulldozer that was in front with the flashing light. And there was someone in it, and I just started waving and screaming. Hey! It was really, it was amazing seeing those guys, you know, coming up there. And I've never been so happy to see two people, just strangers, in my entire life. I had Clayton in my arms already. I was just so anxious for them to come up there, and I just gave Dusty Clayton right away, and I knew he wasn't, you know, doing really well, but...
Is Jim okay?
They said, yeah, he's okay, or we wouldn't be here. And I couldn't walk, so they had to carry me down the hill, and I felt really awful that they had to do that, and I looked awful. My hair was a big rat's nest, and I just kept apologizing to them. I'm sorry, I stink. Oh, and I was just so thirsty. I just begged, just please, do one of you guys have something to drink? And Dusty had an orange in his lunch from work. Thank you. Oh, it just looked like heaven. I mean, it was like, oh, an orange flavor. I gave some to Clay, right, just stuck the little wedge, like, right in his mouth. He just really started sucking on, nursing on it.
The California Highway Patrol decided they would fly me to the hospital where Jim was headed. We kept trying to get information on Jennifer and the baby, and there just wasn't any. Just before we landed, we heard Jennifer had been found. I went in the bathroom and just slid right down to the floor and crying hysterically. And it was such a relief to finally hear that they were found, because 9 days of what they went through, it was just a miracle.
I was still pretty looped up on pain medicine when they arrived at the hospital. We were both extremely exhausted and still trying to work out in our heads what had just happened.
He looked really, really tired, but he looked good. I mean, he was alive, so that was, you know, what mattered.
It wasn't as emotional as one would think. It was more nonverbal communication across the room, looking at each other in disbelief at what had just happened.
They told us Clayton was really, really dehydrated. He had a really bad diaper rash. But then otherwise, once they gave him fluids and everything, that they thought he was going to be all right.
Hey.
The price that we paid, our feet, was just nothing compared to having Clayton be whole and healthy. And I mean, I'd die for that. Just had to look at Clay and go, okay, it's all right.